I have waited days, months, and years for this one episode to finally be animated. Just waiting for the episode today to come out had me so excited and on the edge of my seat to see how this will all wrap up. Today's finale was probably one of the most emotionally invested and hype conclusive episodes I've ever seen in a shonen anime. After one of the longest tournaments to ever go on, Tamakoma 2 has finally conquered the B-Rank Wars and have made it to the away mission requirements. It honestly feels like a dream that the rank wars are finally over and we've been through so many battles, so much development and so much character growth, and everything has culminated to this one final episode. And the one thing I really want to say is thank you to the entire World Trigger staff and series director Morio Hatano for just the absolute amazing and hard work they put into this third season. This final episode gave us all the hype moments that we needed to send off this series for a long time, and I'm sure that for my anime only folks, a lot of things surprised you in this episode as well. One thing for sure though is that you guys can say I didn't tell you that the finale was going to blow your expectations out of the water. So to kick off the finale, we are first going to take a step back in time and talk about the situation with Yuba and Nanomiya. Now, as broken down by the announcers, Nanomiya pretty much fired two different volleys of bullets, one higher than the other, in order to catch Yuba off guard, and ultimately the mindset of rising to the challenge ended up being his downfall. As we know, fighting Nanomiya one-on-one was not recommended for a lot of situations, and had Obishima been there with him, things might have worked out differently, but unfortunately she bit the dust beforehand. Regardless of the result, there is no reason to discredit Captain Yuba. He still did one heck of an amazing job just going against Nanomiya one-on-one for as long as he did, and hopefully in the future we can see these two work together, because combined, these two will be absolute demons on the battlefield. Now, as things stand, the last two teams are Nanomiya squad and Tamakoma 2. We see Nanomiya clearing off some of the area around him because he wants to be wary of Kuga and also the wire strategy as well. One thing that he's also doing is that the team itself is sticking close by, because again, facing one-on-one is not the ideal, but in order to cover for his weaknesses as well in terms of defense, he's keeping Inukai and Tsuji close by, and they're pretty much just waiting for Tamakoma 2 to make the first move. Now, just a quick breakdown of exactly what Nanomiya is using in terms of his composite bullets. One of the bullets that he used earlier when he was tracking down Oki was known as Hornet. In order to understand Hornet, we need to understand Hound, and it was explained that Hound can be said to have different levels of tracking and homing depending on the situation. There can be focus shots or there can be scatter shots, and what we saw with Yuba was scatter shots catching him completely off guard. Now, as far as Hornet, the tracking and homing is extremely aggressive, and that aggressiveness allows Nanomiya to flush people out of their position, as we saw with Oki. This position allows people to slip up, and that's how Tsuji was able to catch Oki off guard. Just all these little details goes to show why in the world Nanomiya is such a rough opponent. The combination of bullets and his teammates securing these kills make them such a very difficult squad to go up against. Even taking a quick flashback back to season 1 when Kuga was fighting Nanomiya, and we see that the Hound bullets forcing him to move was just another prime example of how Nanomiya gets people to fall right into his hands. With all this information in mind, you do have to wonder, how does the final confrontation kick off? And it's kicked off by none other than Yuma and Mikumo making the first move. The final confrontation is pretty much a roundabout game of keeping your distance and exchanging some blows while going in a circular rotation. Not allowing Nanomiya to get comfortable in his position is the best strategy that Mikumo could have come up with. We see that Kuga is taking the charge of his scorpion projectile and just constantly taking cover when he can and getting out of the line of sight, because again, nobody is going to be able to survive the full-on attack mode head on. At the same time, we have Mikumo attacking from the back. However, Nanomiya's teammates are making up for his defense. Of course, you guys know I gotta give my praise for how the art and some of the impact frames looked really amazing during this final sequence. I kinda knew that the animation was about to ramp up the minute I saw how Kuga jumped off the building, and you can just tell that the movement was there and it just looked really good. So again, props to the team for whoever worked on today's episode for the final stretch. Of course, going in this formation, it can't last forever, and eventually Kuga does take some blows, but it's not a bailout, and that's the most critical thing. Every person on the field is very important, and it was just really intense to see how Kuga was able to hold out so long, because with him being overwhelmed with so many bullets, you know it was going to be hard for him to fight and keep all his body intact, but he really was able to hold out for the match. Definitely one of my favorite parts of the episode was the exchange between Ninomiya and Kuga, and again Kuga using that side effect when Ninomiya was saying how Mikumo poses no threat, and like everybody at that moment knew that was a lie. Mikumo himself, his brain, his intellect has been one of the biggest threats to the entire Rank War series, because nobody has been able to 100% counter his strategy from beginning to end, and I'm sure that Ninomiya felt that pressure too. It is from this point on that this is when things really begin to heat up. Kuga and Mikumo still throwing projectiles, just trying to get some hits in, but this time Chika throwing in a lead bullet as well. However, this does give her position away, and Tsuji and Inukai both go after her. On one hand, this looks bad for Chika, but on the other hand, this is exactly what Mikumo needed. Remember a couple episodes ago, Satomi mentioned that the best thing you can do is not attack Ninomiya alone. This opportunity opens up the 2v1 Mikumo needs in order to secure the kill against Ninomiya. I also just want to take a moment to say that I really appreciate how everybody that was present, from Miwa and Kitora, had input on the match and how it made it a lot more interesting to just see everybody's perspective on how this might turn out. There was a mix of criticism and underestimating the overall situation, and that was shown through Mikumo's actions. Now for a long time now, I've been telling you guys that Chika will be the MVP this season. Like no matter what really happens, she along with her character growth will be the best development that we will see this season, and by now, if you've seen the episode, you know exactly what I'm referring to. Right here and right now, the OST changes. We can see that Yuma is just taking such an intense barrage of bullets, and you have to wonder what's about to happen, and that we see Mikumo is being hunted down by Tsuji, because deep down, that is the overall motive, that you take out Mikumo and the whole team falls down with him. Everybody is thinking that this is the end for Mikumo, but the biggest play in the entirety of this series is made when Chika fires a non-lead bullet and takes out Tsuji. If you are an anime only and you didn't get up and scream or punch the air, then you need to watch this episode again, because this moment was the moment that Chika really took charge of her future. No orders, no hesitation. She did what she needed to be done in order to protect her captain's back, and also scoring another point for Tamakoma too. Without a doubt, one of the best snipers in shonen anime, just making herself known that she is in fact taking the steps that she needs in order to move forward. With that catching Ninomiya off guard, we get Mikumo throwing some bullets from the back. Everything has led up to this one final play to push the match home. What may seem like asteroid bullets turns out to be a volley of hound bullets, and it literally shocks the entire crowd. You get to see everybody's reaction when the hound bullets come out, and it takes Ninomiya by surprise. I have been waiting for so long to see the panel of "We Win" animated, and when I tell you guys that the biggest smile was on my face, because at this point, nobody can deny that Tamakoma 2 fought their way to the top with every strategy in the book they could possibly utilize, and most importantly, Ninomiya's underestimation of Mikumo was his downfall as well. Now there is something really important that we need to take a moment to talk about, and that's how Inukai played a part in this downfall. A while ago, he said that Mikumo barely has enough tree on this great buy in terms of using other bullets and combinations, and that info is something that Ninomiya took into this match, and because of that, he was not expecting a last minute change. What's more is that Mikumo did a good job of hiding it. The entire match, he was firing off bullets in a straight direction, so nobody would even think about him using something like Hound. That abundance of patience pays off and ends up catching Ninomiya off guard. And if that's not one of the most satisfying moments in this series outside of Chika shooting a sniper shot, then I have no idea what else it could be. The last encounter comes down to Kuga just taking out Ninomiya, doing an excellent showcase of him dodging using grasshoppers, shielding, just closing in that distance gap and taking him out once and for all. Ninomiya bailing out. It is at this point that the match is pretty much over. Unfortunately, Inukai does have to eliminate Chika just for the sake of securing a point, but at least he takes her out pretty quickly. It would have been nice if he could have let her off and just bailed out by himself, but with the stakes this high, it's all fair game. The winner of the final Rank Wars match comes down to Tamakoma 2, and they are now able to go into the away mission. This episode concludes the Rank Wars saga for our main crew, and it has been an absolute ride. Just seeing how everybody has grown and how far they have come, the different strategies that have been employed per match as well, I am just absolutely grateful that as a fan, I have been able to witness all of this per season. Now for my anime only folks, I do have to say that there is actually one more match going on that will probably show at the beginning of next season, but I won't spoil who is fighting and what might actually happen, but just know you'll see something quite surprising. Today's episode animated chapters 193 to the very first pages of 196, and that is going to conclude World Trigger Season 3. Now, just a personal message from me to you all. From the bottom of my heart, I want to personally say thank you. Your support for World Trigger and all my content related to it has done a lot for my channel in terms of the growth, and I've had a very fun time being able to talk to a lot of you all in the comment sections down below and just being able to see the type of content you guys like. I also want to say that this will not be the last World Trigger video I do. I actually have a couple more projects for this series down the line, so if you are here for World Trigger, I promise you your stay will be more than rewarded. Overall, for me, World Trigger Season 3 is a smooth 10 out of 10, presenting the final moments of the Rank War saga and giving us one of the best moments of development for Chika Amatori, best girl doing her absolute best to close out the season. With that, it's gonna bring me to the end of this finale review. As always, if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave all your comments and thoughts about the finale down below. As always, thank you for watching, thank you for joining me on this journey and supporting me. Stay safe and warm out there, and I will catch you guys in the future of World Trigger.